we have a point A and point B, and we can reach from point A to point B in an instant. Okay, and I was like, won't it kind of defy some physics law and those things? He said, yes, it will. So I said, because it should be that maximum speed we can achieve is via speed of light, right? So I said, yeah, we cannot defy the physics law, okay? And it's not like philosophical thought goes from point A to point B. He said, no, material will pass from point A to, like, it will go from point A to point B in an instant. So I said, are you speaking about wormhole or something like that? So he said, something like that, but in a way where we don't have to create that wormhole. Okay. He said something by which we will just go from point A to point B. Now I was curious because this is something which he's getting a thought, and what was the kind of cause of that thought. I was interested in that. Okay. And he's a lot philosophical into nature. So he's a fellow PhD student. And so
At IIT
this
Bombay?
kind of thing, yeah. So
Because there was a kind of that in IIT Madras as well. A very philosophical guy. I remember that.
There are a lot
person,
of
but-
philosophical guys.
there are a lot of them.
We kind of talk. If some outside person come and just hear what we talk about, they will like, see, no, they are gone case. So the point being that he was defying physics, and in a way that, so there's something. So we have seen a lot of Star Wars movies, right? In which the
Not
ship
me,
goes
but
into a
go
warp
on.
drive. Okay.
No,
So
but
there are,
please go on. Audience might have.
Yeah, so in Star Wars or any Star Trek movie, you will see that there is something called warp drive. And you just, from point A to point B, your machine kind of behaves such a way. So one way is to create a wormhole in front and then go inside it and then end where from point A to point B. Like it's like the classic example of puncturing the page and going inside it.
Yeah.
Have you seen Interstellar, in which he explains?
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
mean,
remember?
he will say that A, B, and then touch A to B.
And then that thing. The second thing is, it's like everything is about waves, all right. And if you can move that wave, you can move the space. So that was his thought. So it's like very deep.
If you
thought.
can move
So
the
it
wave,
kind of,
you can move the space.
It's like in a string. Okay, in a string, it's just a set of particles connected together. But there's a concept of standing wave and traveling wave. Okay, traveling wave is in which it looks like the string is static, but in traveling wave it looks like that wave in the string is moving from point A to point B. Okay, so his point being ki we can make the reality as a traveling wave, so that there comes one more speed now, and that speed can be extended. It can be more than the speed of light. So it has very nice thought into it. So it explains the theory of relativity in a very good sense, and kind of violate that thing ki we cannot go above the speed of light. So that was a nice thought actually.
Yeah, if you like.
Then we contacted here a physics professor, and he was too much skeptical about it because obviously he has more knowledge than us. But he also then said ki this is very gray area to work upon, and that was our that was the thing in which we wanted to go, right? Because if we couldn't prove something, there is an opportunity here.
Well,
So
that's why people do
process.
PhD. That's the question that we started with, right? Why do people do PhD? Because you will be actually working with things which are not discovered. That's what you are.
I will just give you one more instance. Marvel movie, Avenger, where they have to do the time heist. Okay, and then there was a scene where Iron Man was looking at the Mobius strip. Okay, and he was calculating the eigenvalues, right? So actually, if people think about it, if you can make an optimization path between that reality, and it will come into a matrix, and whatever the eigenvalues of the matrix will be, that will be our stability criteria. Okay, now I'm going too much into the research side, but
that's good.
It is possible. I'm saying this is possible. I'm looking like a mad scientist right now.
No, you're not, man. You gotta stop thinking about that because like I said, you might be so smart that people don't understand you. That does not mean that you should become dumb
not
now.
only my thought. It's like our discussion goes into that way. Whatever we are discussing.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I like about you, is that you are that kind of person who should pursue a PhD and do research, because you think about these things, right? People who are not, like, PhD itself is a big filter, because you always have an opportunity to drop it. So many people drop it like half the way, right? But those are the kind of people which I've observed as well with other people who keep on doing PhDs, people who ask a lot of questions at everything.
Yes.
People who are not afraid to fail, even though if it is going to take like 6 months of research doing the same like basic stuff, which someone would say, oh, I did that in high school, what are you doing that in PhD? But yeah, you
Yes.
did. You were 18 when you were in high school, and now I have a bachelor's degree and a world of information. So I'm trying to just find a better way to do the same thing, right? Speaking of that relativity and all, the whole idea of what Einstein started with is the speed of light is constant, right? That's like the
Yes.
biggest constant of this world. There's only one independent variable, and that is time. And the place where people cannot wrap their heads around is that space bends, because to us who live in 3 dimension, and we walk and move, even the fastest car goes only a fraction of speed of light. To us it might not be that believable, but space bends, and you can see that easily. I think there was a giant canvas on which they tried to put a ball, and the canvas bends, and that's how you explain what Einstein tried to explain 100 years ago. And they are finally trying to, like, they are now reproving what he already said. They are now using computers to prove what he said like 100 years ago. And the same goes with, I think, the idea of wormhole, that if you can bend the space enough, it is actually closer in one way. And that's what happens when, for example, since you are a DC fan, there's a guy called Flash, right? And
Yeah.
he moves so fast that the space bends, I think, because I'm a Naruto fan,
Yes.
and I'm pretty sure you have watched Naruto
So
too, right?
he travel more than the speed of light. So that's the thing. That's why he can
He I think
manipulate
reached
time.
past or future or something, right?
Yeah. So he can go at any time actually. If you have control over that speed, so you can do anything, pretty much anything. So that was his point. But obviously, if you change something into the past, then there is a huge problem. So that was the main. Actually, there was a flashpoint. Actually, a movie is coming right now. But animated series had already been done, and in which Flash wanted to protect his mother, because that was the thing which he wanted to have. Because his childhood, like not in childhood, adolescence, his mother kind of she was murdered. Okay, and that's why he wanted to protect her. So he went into the past just by the. So here comes the belief. His belief was so strong that he passed all the physics, and then he came into that point, and then he protected his mother. And then what happened, that the future break apart, and that was the main point of the movie.
What do you mean
I won't
break
spoil
apart?
everything.
Like there's no future?
I won't
or
spoil the movie then.
Oh, you don't? You won't? Yeah, you should not.
Spoilers.
Actually.
Spoilers. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said
you
about
see, like,
the difference between. Sorry. So you said about difference between the what Einstein had given then and what we are proving now. It's about the theoretical and practical. So theoretical and experimental difference. Whatever we are doing in papers, or whatever theory we are making. For example, I'm someone who is work into the theoretical domain, but the person who is working into the experimental domain, they have little bit less kind of thing, because at theory you can just put everything into the numbers, into mathematics, and then you can solve this mathematics. But converting that numbers into reality is like huge task. Okay, so that experimentation, it takes huge effort in all the direction, because everything is connected, and you cannot just say ki I will isolate the system and then do this and that. You have to actually isolate the system it's a huge task of its own. For example, the Hyperloop pod. Like you have to make a system by which that pod is into a vacuum. Now creating that vacuum is a huge task upon which companies are made.
Yeah.
So here comes the difference between what Einstein had given and then proving that thing. So,
Yeah. What are your plans in the future? Like, hold on. Sorry
my
about
plans are.
that. Yeah.
Okay. My
Yeah.
plans are. I want to keep on working into the creativity.
Like, where do you see
Because that
yourself 10 to 15 years later? Might not be
professor.
following exactly. Professor? Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to like
I really
work
wanted to
towards
become
those
professor.
like Nobel Prize and stuff, man? I just want
Don't
to
know actually.
bring this
That
up
is
50
not.
years later. Anshuman Mehta
I just wanted to be
wins.
this thing. I want to be just this thing.
Oh, okay.
One who is
Yeah, those
taking
are the
a
kind
field
of people who win
into
Nobel Prizes,
that.
man. Those who don't wanna.
So very bright thing that wins the Nobel Prize.
Okay.
I just wanted to be
Yeah.
this. Okay.
You know, back when we were in college, I used to watch all of those documentaries on Einstein and Newton and Tesla and I watched that movie Beautiful Mind and I was like, I'm gonna win a
Oh,
Nobel Prize, man.
cosmos, very calm.
And then 3 years into research, I'm like, no, there's no way. There's no way I'm
Yeah,
going to
actually.
win. Yeah.
So it has a huge learning curve into it. So
Yeah.
it's like it goes like this, like lot of time is wasted upon that, and then it increases exponentially to the point where you can pursue something. So here comes the point of opportunities. If you are opportunate enough and you have of that platform, so why I say I wanted to become a professor, because then I will sorry. So then I will have a huge opportunity to do whatever I can. Like my mind will just run free. But to achieve that, I have to first look into it, like how the research is done. So hence, like here come the point where advisors, kind of the professor, like who is guiding you, the guide, he guides you into that, ki how the research is done. And once you have amassed all the resources which is needed to do research, and you have opportunities also, so you actually become professor somewhere. It's not like just calling yourself professor and you don't teach anything, you are not part of an institute, so that becomes the problem. So hence, first of all, you have to be at that platform, which is like not that good, because actually because here come one more thing which is called it's now again into a competitive environment. So still, because what I thought ki when I will go for PhD, the competition will lose itself. Okay, and then when I will go for postdoc, the competition will again lose itself. But to just my surprise, it's just getting harder and harder. So because now in a
But
field
where's the
very
competition when you're doing PhD? Because PhD is pretty individualistic. You're not really competing with anyone, right?
because the opportunities are very less, because as we
What
go
are the
higher the
opportunities?
scale of
What are the
for example,
opportunities?
let's say a postdoc opportunity.
Oh, okay,
So
I get
to
your
have
point.
a postdoc opportunity, you have to know about a lab which work the same thing
Yeah,
which what you do, and that is a challenge of its
that's very
own,
difficult.
because you are doing something which is new.
I think the only person who can help you in that is your advisor, who knows
Professor,
more
yeah,
people working in
yeah,
the domain,
actually
right?
that's why it's a close community of itself, the
No,
academicians.
I do want to get into it because if you do a PhD from India, what next? Because I've seen so many people in US who has done their PhD in India and then they are doing their postdoc in US or in some other
Yeah,
country,
that is the
European
thing.
countries.
Postdoc should be from abroad. If not from India, it should be from abroad,
If
because
you want to be a
because
professor
one.
in India, is that what you're saying? In
So
IITs?
it's like this: ki you have been PhD student in India, means that you didn't have a outside exposure. Okay,
Okay.
and when you take the opportunities in India, let's say old IITs or new IITs, or IITs in general, if you wanted to become professor there, what happens that they will look for the things which will be just out of the box. Okay, either your research, or if you have a exposure from outside, or now it had changed. Now they also see how the teaching skills are. So that is a very beautiful thing. They did take care of everything. So it's a huge process. If somebody wanted to become an assistant professor, so there are a lot of interviews. First, it is a department level interview. Then it becomes an institute level interview, and in that everything is checked. And then 1 year is their probation period in which they are just tested out. And once that is done, then he becomes the assistant professor, central government character, which again you have to just carry on the grants and then do the research, and then it becomes a stable life. What I think, but again, when I will reach at that point, it will change.
More competition, right? But you see,
Yeah,
that's what, as far as what I've seen right now for close to 6 months in US, is that there's not really that much competition amongst PhD
outside.
candidates in US. Yeah. So
Yes,
that's,
that's the thing. Opportunities are there more because
yeah.
there actually the research part is going on, and in India we are just growing into something which is more into the research oriented. So in IIT Madras, you remember we had a research park,
Yeah.
a big building. I would show that is a research park. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
but here IIT Bombay we are just making one. So it's like we are into growing into that stage where industries and research and academic institute will work in a conjunction. So it will be a sync in its own, which US has already established in I think 40s 50s only.
Oh no, not
Where
for.
academic,
It is like before World War One.
no, it is,
It's like
yeah,
Industrial
actually in World
Revolution.
Wars only. In World Wars only, what happened that academic institutions were part of that thing, to part of the technology. In India also, it was a part of the technology. Like the military always work in conjunction with the academic professors.
Yeah,
If you would know, right?
yeah, yeah.
So all the professors they have some secret projects going on.
Mm.
Okay, so
Not
I
all.
don't think so. Some
Not all. A
government
lot.
agent will come and okay.
You're safe, man. You're in a democratic country so far. So.
Yeah, so some kind of project they are going on, and professors are working into it. Okay, so that is the where industry meets the academician. But in general, if you will see as a research, so if you will take a industry like a separate industry of its own, and if you see they have a lot of challenges, and to solve the challenges you need someone who just think out of the box. Okay, so here come the professor, the work of the professor. So the
Mhm.
professor has a lot of duties. So
Yeah, so that's what I was getting at. Like, I want to know, doing PhD in India, what are the opportunities? What career are you looking? Because people who do PhD in US, a huge chunk of them go to industry. Like, they get the
yes,
most well-paying jobs. I won't say the most. Kind of the master student also gets similar paying job, but PhD is more focused. But a huge portion of them go for direct jobs, and so much so that some of them actually get job in between their PhD, and they just leave their PhD because they have made enough connections. Other than that, a lot of them do go for PhD, sorry, postdoc. Like, if you're getting a postdoc from Stanford, MIT, why wouldn't you go? They pay very well,
mm.
and it's a even better exposure, which gives you even a better career, right? But what are you looking at after your PhD
What?
other than postdoc? Is there any opportunity for jobs? Just say yes or no.
Okay, so I am looking for opportunities mainly.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say I get something which interests me,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously it should be aligned to what I am doing, because that is the thing which I have worked upon from past. Like let's say I have devoted 5 years into my research, and I do something out of that thing, that my mind won't take it because I wanted to work
Mm-hmm.
upon whatever I build up upon now. So anything which aligns with my ideology, as well as which aligns, or and there should be opportunity. So I'm looking for the opportunity which aligns with my interest. So that is the thing which I
Yeah.
am hoping
So
for.
that is what, like, I want to get into. Like, is there possibility for you to get a very well-paying job after your PhD in India? Like,
Depends
options
on the
other than postdoc.
availability.
See, saying
So
that
let's say
postdoc is my only option is saying that PhD students or PhD candidates or PhDs do not get anything in India, because postdoc, as you said, you have to go abroad, right? So what is the opportunity for PhDs in India? Because what I'm getting at is PhDs are the smartest brains of the country, right? They are the most educated brains. If the only option they have is to go for postdoc abroad, then what is the country doing to keep the brain inside, right?
So let me get emphasis on what postdoc is. So postdoc is, first of all, it's a job. Okay. So
Yeah.
what PhD is, like the thing which you can amass the knowledge about. All right. So it's a final frontier in which the student is called a student, and once he's out of that, like he has done his defending thing, he becomes a person who cannot study now, like who cannot be kind of part of a institute where he's called a student. He's not called a student now.
Oh
He is
no.
now
Yeah.
working professional.
Yeah.
And now here comes, like, whatever postdoc is just it's just a term to explain that he's a researcher, and he's a working professional. Okay, so just terming as a postdoc, it doesn't mean that he could be just lab assistant or something. So it's a working professional who is working into the field where his field is required. So any
Got it.
PhD who is getting out of
I think
the
what you're getting
institute.
at is that postdoc is also a job, right? Is that
Yes,
what you're
yes,
saying? Okay.
yes. So just
But
looking at the opportunities, which because the
there are
opportunities
some.
are not fixed.
Yeah.
Because your PhD is not fixed. Your PhD ideas varies from point A to point B, and like very gradually. But you started with something, but you ended with something, and that something which you ended, that had to be continued in some other institute. So that is called where you are working. So here, so what generally people do, they apply everywhere. Okay, and then
Like everywhere meaning
whatever
what? All
every
colleges
mean
all abroad
yeah,
and
as
in
the
India?
opportunity comes in. Yeah, so let's say you have a aerospace into mind, and in aerospace there are four subdivision. So let's say there is someone who is working into propulsion side. Okay, now he'll be just sending all the his resume to all those lab which is propulsion related. So it can be anywhere. So wherever he's wanted, he will be called. And now here comes, like, what exactly job profile it will be. That will be discussed in the form of interview. So there's a again there's a task where it becomes harder and harder, because in PhD you did the same thing, right? While being getting selected. So in postdoc, again, there is an interview. Then for assistant professor, again there will be an interview. So my point being, you have to keep on trying, and eventually something will come out of it. And
Hopefully.
yeah,
No, it
hopefully. So
will
there's
come
no
out.
set pattern key. Yeah, no, there's no set pattern in which you can just put into, okay, this is the kind of job, that kind of job. It's like open itself. You can even, there are students who leave first year of postdoc and they join as an assistant professor.
Oh,
There are
okay.
people who complete 2-3 years into it, like have a lot of experience as a working professional, and they join into some assistant professor. There are someone who kind of gives about 8 to 9 years into postdoc, or being something called project associate or something like that, and their work is so great that they join directly as associate professor. Okay, and there are working professional who go into research industries, and then finally when they will come out of it, the retirement age, and then they will be as a professor
No, I've
into
heard
the
I've heard
institute.
of that.
Yeah.
Actually, Komal was once telling me that in her university, NIT Nagpur, uh, the people who were applying for assistant professor position all had like 3-4 postdocs from abroad. They had spent like years and years after their PhD, almost equal amount after their PhD,
Hmm.
and then they're applying to NITs, right? And
Hmm.
imagine if you are over there like one postdoc, right? That's what I get when you're saying that there's huge amount of competition, right? But what I wanted to get at, see, you did show me the ESEL, I think. No, it wasn't ESEL. What was
Yeah,
that?
ESL. places.
Yeah.
So
IIT
E-cell
Bombay
is
has
something in
E-cell,
which
and Madras has what?
E-cell.
Madras also has something. Okay.
Actually,
Uh,
Madras,
yeah,
both
yeah.
have E-cell. E-cell name are I think same. So E-cell
Mm-hmm.
is in which entrepreneurship cell, and in which academics and the entrepreneur thing. So in which for example, if you have completed your PhD and it's about something which can be converted into a product. Now here comes the opportunity of a startup, and that is very huge because let's say it's a new thing, and just that now you have to be good at the thing which you are very versed at, the marketing, the thing where we kind of lack a huge like because we have never been to that thing. Okay, we have never thought of selling a product. Why we came into research is we don't want to sell any product. So one day my professor say to me that okay, you are doing the research, it's good and everything is very fine, you're going a right way, but you should know how to sell your research. And I was like, what? Like why I have to sell my research? Okay. He said then only people will buy it. Okay.
Yeah,
Because everything
it's
is
like
about
making
selling
a
and buying.
Ferrari, not knowing how to sell it, right? Yeah, I made a car
Yeah,
better
like
than
you just
Ferrari,
made a
but
Ferrari
I
and
don't know how to sell it,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
So it's like same thing that you do some beautiful work, but you don't have any application to it.
yeah. It all comes together
So
at
it will
some point or
be
the other.
forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to know everything.
So do you remember your project in your BTech you have done, right?
Yeah,
You have done a lot of beautiful projects.
yeah.
But the thing is, it was just at that time it was just going into it what is research and about that. But just think about it, ki they are just left there only. So just
Mm-hmm.
imagine what PhD you have done and it's just left there only. So that becomes
Hmm.
a problem in your mind. Ki okay, I have done something, but I couldn't convert into a product. Or product is a very vague term, but I will say like you couldn't kind of that work is not further taken into the different dimensions. So that is the thing. So here come the huge opportunities where e-cell work in a conjunction where you set up a startup based on an idea, and that idea come from the PhD, like the topic of the PhD. So yeah,
Yeah, you
that is
brought
also a
a
huge opportunity.
brought a new point. Like, yeah, PhD students can actually start a company. Agnikul is a great
Actually, what happened?
example.
You remember? Just sorry. Yeah, Agnikul is there are a lot of
Yeah.
Indian startup, but where is the starting point? Is I will say, for example, that my friend Pankil Mishra, he had this idea that we will just go faster than light thing.
Hmm.
And we actually went to E-Cell. Like he went to E-Cell. At that time, I was not knowing what he is working upon. But actually, he was working this from past 5 years, 4 or 5 years,
Hmm.
and he was having this idea. He's amassed a lot of knowledge, and that's why he can talk to a professor, a physics professor, like who is working in dark energy, dark matter. Okay, and he's talking face to face to him about we can we can go faster than light.
Oh
And
yeah.
before that, he went to E-Cell. He went to E-Cell and he asked, ki, I wanted to make a product which is faster than light. And nobody was laughing.
Nobody was
No,
laughing.
really, nobody was laughing there.
Yeah.
Because our institute is such that we are open to ideas.
Hmm.
Okay, they were just see ki, okay, this is the product that you wanted to make, and so where is the proof? Okay, now here comes out, we don't have a proof. Okay, so we have to make a proof. So we have to see at the existing things, and then we have to work upon it so that we can prove it. Now come the finance. In the finance, we have to first persuade the people ki what is the use of it. Okay, let's say I say ki from you can reach from point A to point B, anybody will buy it, right? Then we will say, okay, I need this and this that. So we need money. So even Elon Musk will give money. Okay. And finally we will be making that thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it comes from the idea and how to convert that idea into a product. So that is also is part of a PhD only. Like if you have done, if you know how to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
here comes, we have to actually sell your research. So that is the point.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. But what I was actually getting into, let's just think a little bit less ambitious, because the e-cell and a lot of companies are actually attached, or at least the professors are in contact with a lot of companies in the industry. Because of those connections, don't the PhD students or people who get the PhD find it easy to get into the industry? Because I'm sure a lot of them would want to get into the industry now.
Yeah. because there are still fraction of people who don't want to go into academics because they don't want to teach. So we have seen news about the flying cars, flying taxi, right? Now that is one company where it's all about PhD students and making a product out of it. Then we have Agnikul. Obviously, Agnikul has a bunch of PhD guys. So in these huge companies, the main thing is idea. Like once you have got that opportunity, like that platform, how you are getting the opportunity and using them, because it's a very straightforward thing after that, and it's very defined in nature. So, but I was not telling about it. I was more talking about the PhD student, because we don't have a defined path as such. We have to do a lot of this and that, and then actually we have to sell our research. Okay, because when we are selling our research, then only we are getting to the point where we can say to eCell, I want to kind of make this as a product. If you won't say anything, I think eCell won't know you. We wanted to do this. So like the resources will be wasted in that regard. But the thing is your PhD topic is converted into a product. Okay, now for me, it still is a process that I have to think about. So, and as this thing is already in thought of many PhD students, ki what I will do after PhD, if my product if my whatever I'm doing can be converted into a product. Okay, it doesn't happen that easily. It seldom happens. So.
I think like anything else, when it comes to PhD, I think what you're trying to say, it is very individualistic. It's not like, okay, before getting into PhD, I can tell you, oh, these might be your options, which might be different when it comes to PhD in India compared to PhD abroad. But it's okay. That's the way the PhD works. And also what you're getting at is that it depends on how good you are. If you are good, you have multiple options. You can go do your postdoc in the top universities. You can join an industry, or you can start working towards startup, get some funding, right? And we have examples for all of them, right? Clears a lot of things out.
Yes.
It was a big question of mine as well. I'm sure that it was a big question of a lot of the viewers of the podcast as well.
So it can be part of a product. That's a sure thing.
Or it can be a part of a DC Comics, man. Send your ideas to DC.
That was a thought I didn't had. Even that Batman comics, actually I
get
can
employment
apply to
straight
DC
from
comics.
DC. Maybe they'll even
like
give you the
directing.
role of an actor, right? You are going to
Oh,
act in a Marvel movie. After,
That Indian guy.
Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, that Indian guy. You have to be something related to. Yeah. We don't have many superheroes, Indian superheroes. You make one, man. And also, like, DC does not have any Indian superhero, right? You are a big DC fan. Do they have even a single Indian superhero? Those racist people.
Actually, DC. I'm not DC fan. I'm like lot of comics fan. Even Raj comics, I am fan of Indian comics. Having
okay.
Have you heard of Nagraj?
Yeah, man, Nagraj, Tiranga.
Yes, those.
Hell yeah.
Those. Actually, I used to draw those characters in my childhood, and I didn't know about DC.
Doberman. That was an Indian one as well. Doberman. He was a dog. A dog man, kind of. Yeah.
No, he was a Doga.
Doga, yeah, correct, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Doga. Yeah. So actually, those were the character which was my childhood characters. And when I grew up, then only I get into, okay, those characters are based on that characters.
Yeah,
DC movies.
What is Tiranga based off? Is he like Captain America?
Yeah, actually, he has a shield and everything.
Oh yeah, I never thought of that.
And he throw the shield in the same way.
Yeah. And what do you think about Nagraj?
Nagraj is a combination of Superman and Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, he used to have that S, right? Nagraj used to have that S.
But his hairstyle is unique. Okay, that is like the uniquest part of the Indian comic.
Hey, man,
so just like
let me pull something up. You should be able to see what I'm seeing. I'm sharing my screen with you. I used to read these comics when I was very young, and I forgot about it.
So, all these 90s kids have read this comic. Like,
all? Are you sure?
Right now, yeah, I think so, because that was a time where we didn't have much social media or anything. True. It was just that thing which Yes,
Look at
that is
those
the.
abs, man. Mr. Olympia level abs.
I was actually
Oh yeah.
too much interested in drawing those abs.
Yeah. But how did you still turn out to be straight, man? Okay. So this is Tiranga. I want to see Doga. This you like this app, right? We can share screen and stuff. By the way,
Yes.
we can do that in
Yeah.
Zoom as well. Yeah. Who is
Oh,
this?
okay. So my time limit is gone. I think my
Camera is
that
gone.
card slot is filled.
Okay.
Card slot is filled.
Can you change the card?
No, I don't have the other card.
Oh, don't worry about it. Then we are going to just have at least like a cell phone. Do you have a cell phone which you can use to record? Do you have a secondary cell phone?
Or I can just copy paste it the card and again.
No, it will take a lot of time. So we are
Okay,
going
okay.
to just have faith on riverside.fm that it is recording, again not sponsored, and we are just going to put the ending over here. We are going to close this podcast over here. And Anshuman, thank you for being over here after a long time. I don't even remember when was the last time you were on the podcast.
Actually, what happened like
But it is
last just previous year I was too much busy because of COVID. I wanted to get level to my research, and I finally because of
and
this.
your brother got married, right?
Yeah, he got
was a
married.
big
Yeah. So then it was the point where I was too busy into a lot of things. And then research was there, which I was holding it for very long. And now finally I'm at point where I can express myself, and we can have more podcasts in future. And even we have.
Yeah. Can
I
just let me know
I
whenever
really
you
wanted
have
to work
time,
upon
okay?
that this concept of this nonlinear comics. So maybe you can help me on that. So yeah.
Hey, you make a proper website, okay? I'm going to drop that link down in the comments description box, but I'm giving you like 3-4 days. Get your shit together and make a good website. Go to wix.com and it's super easy. Just go to blogs or something. You upload a PDF and it's as simple as that, okay? And I'm going to put the link down in the comments because it was really fascinating, man. You are smart, so you can think far, like you can think like 4D chess. So it was really interesting. It would be a good story if you actually start writing a story like that, like Batman figured out the randomness of Joker, right? Kind of, right? Okay, we are going to end it over here. Anshuman, thank you for being over here. Guys, thank you for you to be over here as well. I think that was wrong English, but thanks for being over here. Our podcast is going to be coming out on a weekly basis. If you did not know, a new podcast which is Hindi, which was actually an old podcast, which was Momentum Podcast, has its own new YouTube channel, own new Instagram page, professional. I'm running two different podcasts now, English and Hindi. And if you prefer English, tune into Art. If you prefer Hindi, tune in to Momentum. If you prefer me, tune into both. And we are going to end this. Say your goodbyes to Anshuman Mehta. I'll make sure he's back very soon. And he's a fascinating character, and I personally love talking to him about science stuff. So he's definitely going to be back soon. Hi, Anshuman.
Go science stuff.
Yeah, happy to see you pursue a career that you always wanted to pursue. I know you for like 10 years now. I'm very happy that you're happy with your career, and keep it up. The first research paper, which was like conference level, is out now. I'm pretty sure you are working on the next one already, and
Yes.
And there's more podcasts to come. All right, we are going to end this over here. See you guys next time. Till then, bye.